Okay, so you know I like history, and I also like true crime, and so this one is both. Okay, take 20. Hi, welcome to the One Tough Mama podcast. I am Christine Siddons, and today I want to do a book review. It's not my normal book review that I do twice a year on the books that I read, the physical books. Today I want to talk about the audiobooks that I have listened to. I'm going to kind of go back in history a little bit, so that I have gone and listened to for a while. I do listen to books through my library's Libby app, and that is where I get most of them. I've tried some of the like Audible and things like that, but generally I can find what I want on my library's Libby app, and they're free, and you just sometimes have to wait for them to be available. Again, criteria of what I do and don't listen to. So I don't listen to fantasy generally. I generally, if it's adult themed, meaning like bedroom type activities, I don't listen to that. So romance, sci-fi, fantasy, horror, those are the main ones. And then if I start listening to a story and they start cussing right off the bat, then I just stop it. I just finished a book, and I'm just going to go over them like this, and I'm just going to go down my history of the things that I've listened to. So this next one is one of my favorites. Sorry, my phone died. Laurie R. King. She has a whole series, and if you're a Sherlock Holmes fan, you will like Laurie R. King. So she has this series, and it's all based on Sherlock Holmes' wife. And if you're a Sherlock Holmes fan, you know that that's not, he didn't get married. But in her stories, I had to look it up because I was like, okay, did Sherlock Holmes get married? And all this and that. But she is very much the same style as Conan Doyle and the author of Sherlock Holmes. It's exactly like listening to Sherlock Holmes with a more female spin because it's through his wife's lens. And if you like Sherlock Holmes, then you will like any of our Laurie R. King books. And this one is Castle Shade. And this one also talks about queens and princesses and vampires. I'm not into vampires. Like I said, I'm not into horror and fantasy, but vampires in the sense of Dracula and that kind of thing. So it kind of just blends a bunch of things together. Again, if you are a Sherlock Holmes fan, look up Laurie R. King. Okay, so The Weight of Glory by C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis's style and time period of writing can be just a little bit, take a little bit more time to read through. But this one, it was good. I didn't quite finish the whole thing. It's very deep. And while I'm listening to this, the whole time I kept thinking, if you are a Jordan Peterson fan, you will like this book because in this book, C.S. Lewis sounds so much like Jordan Peterson, their depth, their thought process. Okay, so let me read to you what it says. Selected from sermons delivered by C.S. Lewis during World War II. These 9 addresses show the beloved author and the theologian bringing hope and courage in a time of great doubt, addressing some of the most difficult issues we face in our day-to-day lives. Lewis's ardent and timeless words provide an unparalleled path to the greater spiritual understanding, The Weight of Glory, considered by many to be Lewis's finest sermon of all. The Weight of Glory, considered by many to be Lewis's finest sermon of all. It talks about virtue, goodness, desire, and glory. Also included are transposition, on forgiveness, Why I Am Not a Pacifist, and Learning in Wartime, in which Lewis presents his compassionate vision of Christianity in language that is both lucid and compelling. So again, if you are a Jordan Peterson fan, you'll like this, The Weight of Glory by C.S. Lewis. Okay, so you know I like history, and I also like true crime. And so this one is both. This one is called The Talented Mrs. Mandelbaum by Margaret Fox. It is nonfiction, history, and true crime. America's first great organized crime lord was a lady, a nice Jewish mother named Mrs. Mandelbaum. In 1850, an impoverished 25-year-old named Frederica Mandelbaum came to New York in steerage and worked as a peddler on the streets of Lower Manhattan. By the 1870s, she was a fixture of high society and an admired philanthropist. How was she able to ascend from tenement poverty to vast wealth? In the intervening years, Marm Mandelbaum had become the country's most notorious fence, a receiver of stolen goods, and a criminal mastermind. By the mid-1880s, as much as $10 million worth of purloined luxury goods, nearly $300 million today, had passed through the Lower East Side shop, called the nucleus and center of the whole organization of crime. She planned robberies of cash, gold, and diamonds throughout the country. But Mrs. Mandelbaum wasn't just a successful crook. She was a business visionary, one of the first entrepreneurs in America to systemize the scattershot enterprise of property crime, handpicking a cadre of the finest bank robbers, housebreakers, and shoplifters. She handled logistics and organized supply chains, turning theft into a viable, scalable business. The talented Mrs. Mandelbaum paints a vivid portrait of Gilded Age New York, a city teeming with nefarious rogues, capitalist power brokers, and Tammany Hall bigwigs, all straddling the line between underworld enterprise and legitimate commerce, combining deep historical research with a narrative flair for which she is celebrated. Margaret Fox tells the unforgettable true story of a once famous heroine whose life exemplifies America's cherished rags to riches narrative, while simultaneously upending it entirely. So that was a good book. I don't agree with her lifestyle, obviously, but I always like to hear stories. It was just a good book. And just, the whole other side of the life that we don't even realize. Okay, this next one is a fiction, literature, historical fiction, African-American fiction. And it is by Rashonda Tate. It's called The Queen of Sugar Hill. And it is about the life of Hattie McDaniel. So if you are a Gone with the Wind fan, like I love Gone with the Wind, Hattie is Mammy. And so Hattie McDaniel, this is her story. Again, it is also fictional. It does have, this is one that you probably have to listen to or read. It's not for children because her life wasn't very PG. So it says, best-selling author Rashonda Tate presents the fascinating fictional portrait of Hattie McDaniel, one of Hollywood's most prolific but woefully unappreciated stars, and the first Black person to ever win an Oscar for her role as Mammy in the critically acclaimed classic film Gone with the Wind. It was supposed to be the highlight of her career, the pinnacle for which she'd worked all her life. As Hattie McDaniel took the stage in 1940 to claim an honor that would make her the first African American woman to win an Academy Award, she tearfully took her place in history. Between personal triumphs and tragedies, heartbreaking losses, and severe setbacks, this historic night of winning Best Supporting Actress for her role as the sassy Mammy in the controversial movie Gone with the Wind was going to be life-changing, or so she thought. Months after winning the award, not only did the Oscar curse set in where Hattie couldn't find work, but she found herself thrust in the middle of two worlds, black and white, and not being welcomed in either. Whites only saw her as Mammy, and blacks detested her demeaning portrayal. As the NAACP waged an all-out war against Hattie and actors like her, the emotionally conflicted actor found herself struggling daily. Throughout it all, Hattie continued her fight to pave a path for other Negro actors while focusing on war efforts, fighting housing discrimination, and navigating 4 failed marriages. Luckily, she had a core group of friends to help her out, from Clark Gable to Louise Beavers to Ruby Berkeley Goodwin and Dorothy Dandridge. The Queen of Sugar Hill brings to life the powerful story of one woman who was driven by many passions: ambition, love, sex, family, friendship, and equality. In recreating Hattie's story, Rashonda Tate delivers an unforgettable novel of resilience, dedication, and determination about what it takes to achieve your dreams, even when everything and everyone is against you. So this one, I would like to actually go look up more books, more like nonfiction books on Hattie McDaniel, because her life is an incredible life and hard life. But I would like to learn more about it. So I'm going to go through real quick some of them. So Donna Everhart, the Moonshiner's daughter, is fiction, but it does give voice to the moonshining community and what that life was like. Okay, so Framed. This is a very interesting book. Framed by John Grisham and Jim McCloskey. This one is nonfiction, sociology, and true crime. It is about people who are on death row and they've been framed, or they're in jail and they've been framed. If you've read anything from John Grisham, you know his writing is compelling and gripping. This one is nonfiction, like it says. John Grisham is known worldwide for his best-selling novels, but it's his real-life passion for justice that leads his work with Jim McCloskey of Centron Ministries, the first organization dedicated to exonerating innocent people who have been wrongly convicted. Together they offer an inside look at the many injustices in our criminal justice system. A fundamental principle of our legal system is the presumption of innocence, but once someone has been found guilty, there is very little room to prove doubt. These 10 true stories shed light on Americans who were innocent but found guilty and forced to sacrifice friends, families, and decades of their lives to prison while the guilty parties remained free. In each of the stories, John Grisham and Jim McCloskey recount the dramatic, hard-fought battles for exoneration. They take a close look at what leads to wrongful convictions in the first place, and the racism, misconduct, flawed testimony, and corruption in the court system that can make them so hard to reverse. Impeccably researched and told with page-turning suspense as only John Grisham can deliver. Framed is the story of winning freedom when the battle already seems lost and the deck is stacked against you. You don't want to miss this one. If you like true crime, this one's good. Okay, The Paper Daughters of Chinatown, Heather B. Moore and Allison Hong Merle, is historical fiction and a juvenile fiction. It's based on a true story of 2 friends who unite to help rescue immigrant women in the most dangerous corners of San Francisco's Chinatown in the late 1890s. So this story goes on to tell the main character, her life from China to San Francisco, and getting rescued and different things like that, and what people did to help them to get out. That one was good. So The Secret War of Julia Child. This one is by Diana Chambers. It is fiction and historical fiction. And so not all of the details in the book are true, but I find Julia Child's life very interesting. The Boys in the Boat. Okay, so The Boys in the Boat by Daniel James Brown. That one is a really good story, and I believe that they have made it a book now. So nonfiction, history, sports, recreations. Yeah, so now a motion picture directed by George Clooney. The #1 New York Times best-selling story about American Olympic rowing triumph in Nazi Germany, from the author of Facing the Mountain. For readers of Unbroken, which is an intense, good book. For readers of Unbroken, out of the depths of the Depression comes an irresistible story about beating the odds and finding hope in the most desperate of times. The improbable, intimate account of how 9 working-class boys from the American West showed the world at the 1936 Olympics in Berlin what true grit really meant. It was an unlikely quest from the start. With a team composed of sons of loggers, shipyard workers, and farmers, the University of Washington's 8-oar crew team was never expected to defeat the elite teams of the East Coast and Great Britain. Yet they did, going on to shock the world by defeating the German team rowing for Adolf Hitler. The emotional heart of the tale lies with Joe Rance, a teenager without a family or prospects, who rose not only to regain his shattered self-regard, but also to find a real place for himself in the world. Drawing on the boys' own journals and vivid memories of a once-in-a-lifetime shared dream, Brown has created an unforgettable portrait of an era and celebration of a remarkable achievement and chronicle of one extraordinary young man's quest. This one is a very good inspirational book, and I highly recommend that one. So The Alice Network by Kate Quinn is a fiction, literature, thriller, historical fiction about a female spy. Let me see, another Laurie R. King. Okay, so Sociopathy by Patrick Gaines. Okay, so this one is nonfiction, biography, and autobiography psychology. An engrossing, completely fascinating memoir revealing the author's struggle to come to terms with her own sociopathy and shed light on the often maligned and misunderstood mental disorder. So she goes on, the author is the one who's writing about herself and her mental disorder. And it is very eye-opening and very, very eye-opening on that disorder and how it can affect people and how people can manage and live with that kind of a disorder amongst us. Until the Streetlights Come On is a good one by Ginny Yurich. Okay, so I'm sure some of my listeners have heard of Ginny Yurich before. She's the author of 1,000 Hours Outside. This one is nonfiction, religion, spiritual, family, relationships. It may shock you, because what it says, it may shock you to learn that we spend an average of 4 to 7 minutes outside each day, while we spend 4 to 7 hours using our devices with screens. Needless to say, our physical, mental, emotional, and relational health has suffered. But there is a ready solution. Get outside. A homeschooling mother of 5 and founder of the global 1,000 Hours Outside movement, Ginny Yurich explains how we got to this point and how to get back to a healthier, more engaging relationship with the world outside. With a mom's heart and an educator's eye, Ginny shows you the importance of unstructured play for children, that what boredom actually contributes to our brain, the value of sunlight and social play, the role of play in lifelong learning, how to make outside time more attractive to your child than screen time, and much more. If you want your kids to grow up curious, resilient, and with a sense of adventure and community, it's essential to make outside play a priority. This book shows you how and why. Again, Jenny Yurich, anything written by her is worth the read. I have some of these books. They are the Heroes of History series. It's by Janet Binge and Jeff Binge by Clara Barton. So this history series, a lot of homeschoolers have them, and that's weird. Okay, so biography, autobiography, history, juvenile, nonfiction, and it says LGBTQ plus nonfiction, but reading through here, I didn't remember any of the LGBTQ stuff. The Heroes of History series are biographies that go over people in history, and this one's about Clara Barton. Like a River by Granger Smith. Excuse me. I guess Granger Smith is a musician and a singer. It's nonfiction, biography, autobiography, religion, spirituality, Christian nonfiction, and he wrote a book about losing his son and what he went through. His son's name was River, and it's his story. And that one was good. I'm going way back in 2024 to 2023 here, so some of these, I'm only really picking out the ones that really ring out in my memory. So The Last Lifeboat by Hazel Gaynor is fiction, literature, historical fiction. Inspired by a remarkable true story, a young teacher evacuates children to safety across perilous waters in a moving and triumphant new novel from New York Times bestselling author Hazel Gaynor. 1940 Kent. Alice King is not brave or daring. She's happiest finding adventure through the safe pages of books. But times of war demand courage, and as the threat of German invasion looms, the plane crash near her home awakens a strength in Alice she longed forgotten. Determined to do her part, she finds a role perfectly suited to her experience as a school teacher to help evacuate Britain's children overseas. 1940, London. Lily Nichols once dreamed of using her mathematical talents for more than tabulating the cost of groceries, but life and love charted her a different course. With 2 lively children and a loving husband, Lily's humble home is her world until war tears everything asunder. With her husband gone and bombs raining down, Lily is faced with an impossible choice: keep her son and daughter close, knowing she may not be able to protect them, or enroll them in a risky evacuation scheme where safety awaits so very far away. When a Nazi U-boat torpedoes the SS Carlisle, carrying a ship of children to Canada, a single lifeboat is left adrift in the storm-tossed Atlantic. Alice and Lily, strangers to each other, one on land, the other at sea, will quickly become one another's very best hope as their lives are fatefully intertwined. So this one is a really good book, and I read it at the end of last year. It says September of 2023, and it's really good, and so I highly recommend that one. You know the series I Survived series. It's a young adult series. This one is I Survived the Sinking of the Titanic in 1912 by Lauren Tarshish. There's a whole series I Survived, and they go over it's like a youth that survived some historical event. And this one is about I survived the Titanic. I listened to one on Abraham Lincoln by John Meacham. The Dopamine Nation by Anna Lembrook. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S.Lewis. Yeah, those are the books. I want to encourage you, if you are a reader, if you are a bookworm, get your library's Libby app. It's a really good chance to go through and get some free books. And I'm sorry if I seem kind of out of it. I don't know if it's allergies or I'm catching a cold and my eyes are like like watery and itchy and just feel kind of congested. So thank you for joining me. If you have any book suggestions, whether audio or paperback or hardbound, whatever, put it in the comments down below. I like history. I like Christian books, for sure, history and autobiographies. And I do, just if you have any books, suggestions, I'd love to hear them. All right, thank you. And thank you for taking the time to watch this video all the way through. And I'd love to hear from you. All right, thank you.